Life is full of work and stress. Parenting can be a mess. Being a woman is hard enough without adding on this extra stuff. We'll cover topics of every kind. Helpful resources we will find. We'll even drink a bottle of wine. Join us. It will be a real good time. Hey guys, Editor Amanda here with my daily mess behind me as I'm cleaning house and editing the podcast. Through trying to make our two separate locations work together and trying to fix some audio issues, I think I might have caused more audio issues. So I apologize in advance and bear with us through the recording. It's actually not as bad as it was, and good enough that we decided to go ahead and post so that we could have a post come out every week. So thanks for learning and growing with us as we navigate issues like this. Hey, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Nikki.
And welcome to Working Mom's Whine, where we drink a bottle of wine
And whine about our stressful working mom lives and hopefully offer up some resources that might help.
Love it. So, as you can see, we are in two different locations today, and we've been troubleshooting audio issues for the last 30 minutes. So we're going to see what happens.
Hopefully you can hear us and there's not some loud bonker noise going on.
Long story short, my family is sick and Nikki doesn't want it, and I don't blame her. So we're trying the two location thing today. She's doing a repeat wine, so we're not going to talk about hers. Which one are you?
I'm drinking the Pinot Noir again.
Okay.
My trusty black box.
Very nice. I actually am not even using a wine glass this time. I have the mason jar glass.
Look at you.
I'm going full.
You're so cool.
Casual. I know.
You're so hipster.
Yeah. Something from Small Batch Winery. Okay, never mind. Something from Small Batch Winery. It is called Allie's Green Apple. It's a grape wine with natural green apple flavor. Named after one of their granddaughters, this light golden wine is intensely flavorful and reminiscent of a freshly cut green apple. The slight acidity, luscious flavor, and crisp, fruity aroma of this semi-sweet wine makes it a pleasant refresher with shrimp kebabs at poolside or on a shady picnic blanket on a warm summer day. That's perfect because I wish I was poolside right now and not almost halfway through December.
Not winterside?
Not winterside. I have had this wine before, and I think you have too.
Yeah, we actually came across their booth at the craft fair we were at recently, and I believe I sampled that one. We were like, we have to do a white wine next because we've done all these reds.
Yeah. I would say it is very apple-y. I don't know if I enjoy this wine a lot.
Really?
Because it's almost like diluted.
It was very sweet.
Well, I feel like it's a little watery.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me because I over-season everything.
Well, it might be the alcohol content too. If I remember, some of theirs are a little lighter than what we've been sampling. So
this one is 7.5.
Yeah, that's half of what I'm at right now.
Yeah. So
you better drink that whole bottle to catch up.
I know, right? I did bring it. Oh, and I also, this is why we can't do these separated. I destroyed the cork. So I have my Christmas tree topper. I destroyed the cork. So yay. I have to drink it. I don't have a cork now.
Darn.
So today we are going to whine about reality TV.
Yeah, I think when we were going through the intro, I thought to myself, we try to offer helpful resources along the way. Except in this one, there's really not a resource for if reality TV bothers you, other than there's a beautiful button on your remote where you can change the channel. Scroll on by.
We are going full first world problems today.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, it's fun. And it's timely because we just watched an episode of Survivor.
Yeah.
And I feel like something that happened at the end of the show highlights how staged, even unstaged, TV is. Because this is your warning if you have not watched the December 6th episode of Survivor and you care. Because we're going to spoil the ending. We're going to spoil
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
And I won't spoil it all the way, but what I'm going to say is definitely going to spoil it. The person who does get targeted comes up with a plan so that only their vote will count. And that is the last vote they read tonight. Every single vote they read before that one was for that person.
Oh,
and
yeah. When he tallies the votes, that's just them putting it in the order they want to make it more suspenseful.
Yeah, and it's been obvious. Like, that wasn't a revelation tonight to me.
Of course not.
Especially when they bounce back and forth. But, like, just to see them do it so obviously.
It's frustrating.
Honestly,
like, you guys aren't even trying to fool us anymore.
I know. It would have been better to throw her vote in before the end, because then at least we might have had one moment of, oh, wait, is it not happening like we thought?
Right.
But did you ever find out about the Big Brother scandal you heard about, if that had any truth to it?
Which one?
Where the producers told Jag. When the producers told Jag that he had to change what he was going to do.
Oh, I didn't hear any more about that. I don't guess that I would. There's no way for anyone to confirm that without violating NDAs and things like that. So, I did hear a rumor that somebody was told by someone on production that Jag was told who to take to the final 3 on Big Brother 25, which just wrapped a few weeks back, that he wanted to take somebody else and had been talking about it constantly on the live feeds. And then in the last minute, he took his ally, which we weren't expecting, because he'd be harder to beat at the end. And then, online was in an uproar, and they said, well, I heard from production that they told him he wasn't allowed to really choose. They told him who to take for various reasons. One of them being that the ally that he's been with the entire game and was going to ditch is Big Brother's first deaf contestant. And so they thought that had a hand to play in it. But, who knows? I don't think we'll ever have proof one way or the other of that kind of stuff, but it's shady.
Yeah.
They definitely control the narrative of what you think about the players and what you see, and they'll take things that happen on like week 6 and play them for you on week 10 like they just happened, to try to control the narrative, which is annoying. But if you watch enough of the live feeds, if you're able to do that, I think you get a better sense of what really happened. But, most people don't have time to do that. So there are some great websites that do it for you if you really want to follow like Big Brother that closely. There are a lot of people who will track on social media the big things that happen during the day, and they'll watch everything, and they have podcasts about it and everything, so you can kind of keep up. And that's kind of where I get a lot of my information. I follow people on TikTok who do recaps of the live feeds and stuff, and like that is their job, to make little recaps of reality TV shows and what's happening and stuff. So I get a lot of information from there, but it's really just a distraction tool.
And that can honestly come in handy, because the big distraction tool is like when shows like Big Brother have the lives that you can watch, or I feel like there was another show that used to have extended stuff. It wasn't live all the time, but they would show you extra stuff if you tuned in at the right time or whatever. And that can all be hard to keep up with once you start having kids and everything. So like the people who recap the stuff that you don't see on TV are very helpful. Yeah, so I think the whole draw of reality TV is you're wanting to see how people behave in real life situations.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is still not how people are behaving in real life situations. And I think
Yeah.
it's one thing to try and stage an interview, like they want them to answer a certain question a certain way, so maybe they phrase the question in a way that guides their answer. Fine. We all know that people can be boring in real life, and maybe that makes for better TV. But I do wish that they would just let the people be the people, and if they are bad people, then we'll get to see them be bad people.
Yeah, let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah.
I could understand having production and having interviewers ask the questions that maybe we want their internal narrative on, like guiding them through what happened in the competition and what were you thinking at this point and that point and, you know, things like that. But they do too much. They push too many narratives and agendas they'd like to see play out. And it winds up affecting and changing the game, which seems pointless. But, you know.
I looked at the contract for Big Brother because I don't usually watch it. And Nikki and our mom were going to do Big Brother fantasy, like fantasy football, but for Big Brother.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, that sounds boring with two people. I'll play.
Oh, it was the worst.
I won so much. I whooped their butts.
It's the worst. First of all, it's not the usual one that we play, so it was messed up.
That I
Yeah, so the one we usually play is like the Survivor one that you and I am on doing right now. But Facebook quit doing it last season, suddenly. I don't know what happened, but they quit offering it. So then I just went out and found some random website that was doing one. But the way they did it was totally different and not as fun. Yeah. It was lame.
Yeah.
You couldn't change anything. You couldn't.
Yeah.
You know.
And it discourages trading your people for other people. I took a lead early. I kept that lead, and I'd like to just think that it's because I'm really good at looking at someone's face and completely judging the entirety of their being.
But see, I picked really good people, but I didn't get points because my people weren't put on the block and evicted. But that's a good thing in this game. You should get points for lasting and longevity and staying under the radar. I had people that went almost the entire game without being nominated, like my gal did.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that should be a thing.
Flying under the radar should be rewarded.
Floaters don't grab a life vest.
Exactly. But I was looking through that contract, and because I got to thinking, man, maybe I could weasel my way onto that show. I could just pick some
catch
persona.
Me dead trying those competitions.
Well, and that's the thing. It's not something I would be, and the fans are going to hate me for this, not something I would be interested in as a fan, but something I would be interested in just to see how well I could do, and knowing that there is money for every week that you're on the show.
Yeah.
And that's true of Survivor too. The longer you're on, the more money you get, but you get a certain amount of money each week. But I only looked at the Big Brother fine print. I hadn't looked at the Survivor fine print. But with Big Brother, you don't get any of the payout until after the show's over.
Yeah.
So you have to commit to being there for, I think it was 100 and something days if you last long enough. Mm-hmm. You can't work during that time, obviously, because you're in the house. You won't get your money during that time. And there's also a lot of language in there about how they can change who gets what and decide not to give you things. And I'm assuming that's just in there to protect their butt, but it does not give it a good look. I'm like, what? That's a lot of risk to go in there and then maybe not get anything if they decide not to do the payouts. And the
I think
contract
a lot
covers them not doing it.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are banking on becoming social media celebrities after appearing on television.
Yeah, and getting like brand deals and things like that.
Yeah, and then hopping from show to show.
Yes.
What's the one that everyone goes, the challenge that everyone goes on after their show? My favorite player from Big Brother 25 was Sari, and she's been on multiple seasons of Survivor. She won the first season of Traitors, and then she was on this season of Big Brother with her son, which was a secret, and nobody found out about it, and that was crazy.
They did not. And I'm
he
sorry,
even
but
told somebody when he wasn't supposed to. The son told somebody, his little showmance.
He told a lot of people a lot of things he was not supposed to, and if I was his
He sure
mom,
did.
I would be smacking him.
Oh, yeah. I saw her do an interview with Julie just a week or two ago, and Julie asked her about, what did you think when you found out that he had told Blue about you guys and your secret? And she said, listen, I've rewatched a lot now, and there are a lot of things that boy messed up. And she's like, I'm going to start a podcast that says Mother Knows Best and go over all the mistakes he made.
Yes, exactly. I just was
yeah, she was like, wow.
And I know that, she doesn't get to see the whole picture that we get to see, obviously, but I feel like there were enough incidents where people came back to her and it was obvious that Jared had done something he wasn't supposed to do.
Yeah, she had to cover up this mess a lot.
Yeah, so at one point, to protect her own game, why wouldn't she just be like, okay, this is my son and I love him, but we're not doing this anymore. This is my game now.
Yeah.
Ugh. I'm full of shit.
I think she probably really couldn't do that because she wasn't good at any of these competitions. She didn't win any of them. So she couldn't really protect herself.
She tried to phrase it like that was on purpose, but it's very obvious that she was not.
It wasn't her jam.
Yeah.
She's like, Survivor is hard. You're dirty and you're hungry, but you basically sit on the beach. She's like, and it's much shorter. She said, and there's places to escape people. In Big Brother, you're trapped in this house. You can't go sit somewhere else on the beach. You can't get away from anyone. And I'm sure, competitions in Survivor are difficult as well. I just think in difficult ways. Big Brother ones are just kind of awkward and embarrassing sometimes. And
yeah.
I don't know. They're quick.
So, if you had to pick a favorite reality TV show, what would it be and why The Amazing Race?
I don't even watch The Amazing Race. I find that one very
not my favorite either, but what's your favorite?
That one stresses me out. It's one of my most stressful nightmares to think about flying somewhere where I don't know where I'm going. I don't know the airport. I don't know the language. I don't know, that's all my worst nightmares.
There's
directions. What?
There's camera crews everywhere.
I know, but you still have to decide where to go. They can't tell you if you're going the wrong way and stuff. I don't know.
Abandon you in some country.
I mean, that's true. Most likely.
So which one is your favorite?
I'd have to say, my longest standing go-to is Big Brother.
Mm-hmm.
But I do watch a lot of other ones now, like Perfect Match, The Circle, Love is Blind, that kind of stuff. And I love them when they're happening, but I do wind up at the end always going, what was the point of this? They do the same thing. They control everybody. You find out that everybody's suing everybody else for all these just terrible things that happened, and what production has done and just how fake it is. This couple that was supposed to be the star couple of the last season, the ones who nobody thought would make it and made it, and they're still married. Yeah, they're still married, but they're living in separate states. Ooh. They aren't a couple, they aren't functioning like a married couple in reality.
Yeah.
And haven't been for over a year. So it's now sure, there are situations where that happens, military life, things like that, but when you go on a show where the whole purpose is to find your soulmate, and the show is centered in your town so that you find someone in your town so that you can actually get married and start that part of your life together, you don't go on and get married and then say, oh, I'm actually at this part in my life where I can't have a life like that. I can't live with you here. I actually have to go over here and do this thing. It just made me mad.
Yeah.
Unreasonably mad at people who I have no control over and don't care what I think. So...
Well, I saw a headline the other day. I can't remember if you and I have already discussed this or not, because I know Brandon was there. and it said something like most divorced couples are still living together right now because they can't afford to live in separate housing with the market how it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my gosh. And I read that to Brandon, and he goes, yeah, I literally just talked to someone on the phone at work, and that was their situation. He's like, don't judge me, but I'm still living with my ex.
The housing market is crappy. It's hard out there.
So I just
And
think that was,
apartments aren't any better.
but
yeah.
I like The Amazing Race because I think it's interesting to try and to see different places and try and figure out all those challenges and stuff. But there was a very short-lived game show, reality show. It's kind of both, but if The Amazing Race counts, then this counts. And
Okay.
I can't remember.
I just
Let me see if
remembered
I can
like
look up
another
the name
one I
of it.
really love too.
Well, you talk about that while I look up the name of this one.
Okay. So if I had to choose like
Oh, I know it.
top shows, one of my very top is The Circle on Netflix. Love that show. It actually so far appears to be very genuine, less produced.
That one sounds interesting. I haven't watched it yet.
It's fun. Like they take all these people and they put them in their own like little mini apartments. So they get a bedroom, a kitchen, a bathroom, and a living room. And then they interact with like a voice command screen where they can go into chat rooms and talk to people. They can send emojis. They can build a profile and select a picture. And then at certain times throughout the competition, they get to add a picture based on a certain theme or whatever. You can go in as yourself or you can go in as a catfish. And
this is like
really
a game show for introverts?
kind of. Well, they say it takes a lot of social skill because you have to get people to like you enough to keep you around, but not be scared enough that you'll win at the end that they vote you out.
Mm-hmm.
And so you rank each other at the end of the week or whatever it is. You rank your top 5 or top 10 or whatever it is. And the top 2 people get a blue check mark, like you're verified, and they go into a private room. They don't ever see each other, but they're both in private rooms chatting to just each other, and they decide who gets voted out that week. And then whoever gets voted out gets to record a goodbye message to people and pick one person to visit. So sometimes they come out and they're like, surprise, I was a catfish. Other times they'll show up at this person's apartment and be like, why'd you vote me out? Like they get angry. But then a few times they've also brought people back. Like last season, I think they had 2 people that got voted out, and they took those 2 people and gave them a chance to come back into the game as a catfish, but they had to play it together. So these are 2 strangers that didn't know each other in the outside world that are now living in this apartment together, and they have to agree on everything their character says and does.
Wow.
So it's interesting. And some people try to catfish and they're really good at it, and other people are terrible. This one guy tried to catfish as a chick who was really into like makeup and stuff, but he knew nothing about makeup. And they did a challenge where you had to put makeup on a mannequin and it was bad. And they're like, wow, that one's a catfish. But it's so good. I love it. It's so good.
I mean, to be fair, I like makeup, but I probably don't put it on very well when I do.
Yeah, no.
That's funny.
I'd have to be like, look, y'all, I just don't wear makeup much, so.
So I was looking up the show that I wanted to talk about, and I noticed that this was something that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck did, and I did not know that when I watched it.
Oh.
There is a guy that I watch on YouTube, and his YouTube name is Matt Pat, and he does a lot of theories about video games, films. Now he has like food and style too. But he is someone who's going to draw you in, keep you excited. He's very so he got the chance to host this, and he was super excited about it. And that's how I found out about it, because of course he talks about it on his YouTube channel before it starts and encourages everyone to like be involved. And what they did was they sort of did an Amazing Race. Like there were teams and they had puzzles to solve, and they had to figure out like where to go next, or I think there might have been like a location to a treasure or something. I don't quite remember all the details because this was a while back. But it was all online. It wasn't on TV. It wasn't something that they recorded and then did later. You were watching live as things were happening through your browser. There might have been a mobile aspect to it too.
Interesting.
And you could pick teams that you wanted to help and try to help them solve their puzzles. And you could interact with them through like chats and stuff. And they could choose a fan of the day, and that person could get award money. And I got fan of the day once, and I think if I remember right, I got $1,000.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
What
And it
show
was exciting.
it?
It was called The Runner. I don't know if I said that yet. And we were really looking forward to season 2, and then it just never happened. I don't know if it just wasn't sustainable because they did give away a lot of prize money, or if it didn't get the traction they wanted it to get, but it just did not happen again. Yeah, and there was COVID too. Like maybe they couldn't bring the teams in. I don't know. But they basically had like different pairs, and there was one there. It was like 2 guys. They were brothers or cousins or something. The long-haired hippies that I gravitate towards, tea lovers. So we were making a bunch of puns around tea. And it was just a lot of fun to be able to interact with the person that you wanted to support and potentially win yourself some prize money on the side.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so that was always fun. But very little known show, but I loved that one.
Sounds awesome. It reminds me of when they do America's Player on Big Brother.
Yeah.
Where they pick one person to like secretly be working for America, and America votes on the funny, silly pranks they want them to play and stuff, or we pick like who they try to nominate or vote out or something, and it really messes up their game though. So
yeah,
there was one year that the guy did really good at it, but
as much as I love being able to vote on something because I want to see someone stay or go, I love even more being able to control what they do.
Yeah.
I do like being able to participate in the show in a way.
Yeah.
The Mole was fun.
It does make it fun.
There was, I don't know what this one is called, maybe you do, but there's one where like people are standing in a box and they have to decide who the plant is, and everyone has a shot glass, and all but one of them are filled with water, and one of them has alcohol in it. And I think it's the person they planted that always drinks the alcohol, if I remember this correctly. And so you have to try and figure out who is drinking the shots of alcohol instead of water while they try to play it off. And then you each answer questions after each round, and then they vote someone out. And then when they think they have removed the plant from the box, they're like, okay, we're done. And if they're right, people remaining win. And if they're wrong, they all lose.
I had not heard of that one, but I do see that as a challenge on TikTok sometimes, where 2 people will go and one has liquor and one has water, and you're supposed to vote in the comments who was who. But there's no prizes or show or anything. It's just
so I know that like there's always people that you love to hate and all of that. But I feel like, especially with the last 2 seasons of Survivor, we have seen poor casting choices. Like, oh crap, is it Carolyn or Caroline?
Caroline.
I always do this. So there are no less than 3 Carolyns and Carolines in my life right now, and I always call them the wrong one. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is embarrassing. I'm an old person now. But she was a therapist, right? Like drug counselor?
Drug counselor, yeah, I think something like that. It had to do with drug counseling of some kind.
She is such a hot mess. How? How does she do effective therapy? But also...
Well, you know what they say. There's a reason why therapists go into therapy, and it's because they're already messes themselves.
Yeah, but like you still have to be able to hold yourself together enough to hold their files together, and she does not strike me as the kind of person that can keep track of that. But also, like, maybe people are extra crazy on Survivor. Emily from
Sisters say that you probably, you're not sleeping, you're not eating, maybe your blood sugar's crazy too.
Yeah.
But also in certain fields and areas, people respect more, relate to more someone who's been there. So I could see that being helpful. She's obviously been there and suffering some of the long-term effects of that as well.
Yeah,
But she was super obnoxious.
Super obnoxious. Especially that one challenge where they're supposed to crawl through a net. And I feel like she very purposefully got about halfway in it and then just flopped around like a fish out of water, acting like she couldn't go any further because she didn't want to.
She kind of did that in almost every challenge. Like, she lagged behind. She acted very confused at anything that was happening. And it was kind of like, okay, why is she still in this game? Like,
and then
I want to see people who really want to play.
Yeah, and in her next breath, she'll act like she knows everything and she's controlling everything. It was very much like Felicia in Big Brother. You have people like her who think they are contributing more than they are, or are being taken more seriously than they are.
They're like, oh, I'm such a big player. I'm so strong. Exactly. People are threatened by me.
Yes.
You're like,
her and Felicia cracked me up in that way.
Yes.
Other people who just flat out quit, like this season of Survivor. We had 3 different people. I'm going to say 3.5. We're going to put it that way. Because we had the first guy, Brandon, who had his meltdown and left.
Yeah.
And then there was that therapist. What was her name?
I don't even remember her name. She was young. Glasses.
And is she the one that said, if Brandon isn't here, I don't want to be here? Or was that Emily initially? I think it was the therapist.
I don't remember.
Yeah, so they both...
It was so early.
Yeah, they both left early on, and, like, they would get to Tribal and then be like, I want to leave. Vote me.
Yeah, they, like, did all the work. They lost the competition. They get sent to Tribal, but they do all the scheming and the who we going to vote out. They have somebody else totally lined up to go. Majority vote, all planned.
Yeah.
And then it's like they start talking at Tribal Council and they have, like, this meltdown and say, please just vote me out. I want to go.
And this wasn't even so far into the show that you might be like, okay, maybe they thought they could handle it and now they're starved and they can't. This was like the first couple of episodes.
Right. First few days.
Yeah. And
you're like, really?
Trying to be supportive. Like, stick it out. And then the guy, Sean, I think it was, who basically went in and quit also. And then I feel like Emily was going to, but then when Caleb took her in, I think that kind of changed things for her. And now she's doing really well.
Yeah. Well,
it's just like
she was.
That's true.
She got voted out tonight, so.
She was doing really
We gave the spoiler alert. It's okay.
I know.
She's great at strategy and pulling together who she needs to pull together, but she's not great at shutting her mouth. And that's the problem.
A lot of them are like that, too.
She's either, like, bluntly rude to people and pisses them off and turns them off that way, or she makes a great move and she tells everyone all about it, and they're like, wow, that was really smart. Now you're a threat. Like,
Exactly.
Pull the puppet strings from above and don't let anybody look up. Like, that's what you're supposed to do.
Brag to people, do it after the show is over.
Yeah. Or just to your alliance. Like, just, like, the one person that you're trusting, but we see how that worked out for Austin tonight, so.
Yeah, I don't know if I 100% feel sorry for him, though, because he knew Dee really liked Julie, and yes, they're a showmance or whatever, but it's a showmance in the scope of things. They have not known each other that long, and if Dee valued Julie enough to still say something, I think I would have figured out a way to do it without Dee.
The problem I had with it, I understood why he told her, because she laid on the beach the night before and told him, you are my number one. You are my ride or die. It's you or me to the end. I'll take you to final 3. Like, she said all that to him. And they're in a showmance. So to me, that says this is my number one person. And she told Julie he's my number one person. And he told everyone she's my number one person. So when your number one tells you this big thing is happening and everybody's doing it and don't say it to the person or it won't work, you can't then go and say it to the person because then you've just backstabbed everyone in your alliance.
Blue and
Although
Jared all
voting out
over.
this person was a backstab to begin with anyway. But
Yeah.
like, that's not your number one then, ma'am. Like, so I feel bad for
Yeah.
him because I think he trusted her when she said she was his number one. And he's right. You can't do something like that and not tell your number one, because
Well,
then they won't trust you and be your number one anymore.
that'll make for a great opening for next week's show when they get back from tribal and we get to see the fallout between Dee and Austin.
Will the showman survive?
But just, oh my gosh, so crazy. Like, if I knew that there was a chance that that was going to happen because they liked each other so much, I think I would have tried to figure something else out. But that was crazy.
I think
Take
if
out
they were
Emily's
feeling
part.
risky about Julie and they knew she had an idol, they should have figured out a better plan. For
And you know
sure.
what's really dumb is because he gave her that idol when they got separated.
Yeah, he should have taken it back.
Why did you never exactly like, okay, we survived. Can I have my idol back?
Right. I would have said,
hoping,
you can carry this with you for this vote and then give it back to me. Like,
yeah. I was hoping that
that was so
he
dumb.
snuck it back from her and they just didn't
Yes.
sell it. And that when she went to pull it out, she was gonna be like, ugh.
Yeah, like, why was nobody going through her bags before they told Dee? Why not that?
Yeah. Yeah. They should have gotten the idol back first thing.
But on top of all of that, Julie made a big freaking mistake, in my opinion. She should not have gotten out Emily at this point. She should have taken out the people that were scheming against her. She should have taken out Austin. Then she would have had a D in her back pocket. They would have only had each other left. Drew's already on the outs. You know, he was only safe this week because he had immunity, or she would have put his name down, I'm sure. Like, and then she should have gathered Jake and Couture and Emily and said, let's be the four with the majority and screw these other guys.
I'm kind of surprised that Katura is still around. Just based on who's left and how they're trying to play things.
I think she's just been one of the lesser, you know, nobody's afraid that they won't be able to beat her at the end because she hasn't done anything.
Yeah, which is fair. And I think that is a big reason why she took out Emily tonight, was like, yeah, there's smarter ways you could have played it and Emily could have gone later. But Emily and Julia see each other as each other's biggest competition. So for her, that was like, all right, I can get rid of this person.
I mean, it is good to get Emily out. Has been making big moves, but
but Julia's gonna have to really watch her back now.
Yep.
Oh, that was so crazy.
It was crazy.
Man. If you could be on a show, which one would you be on?
Circle. 100%.
Is that good?
Yeah. Their competitions are sillier, and everything's kind of anonymous. I'm a lot braver when nobody can see and hear me. What?
Yeah. Is everything virtual?
Yeah. So nobody ever sees anything but the picture that you put and say is you. And then you type in a screen. So you say, circle, say this, heart emoji, rainbow emoji, send, and then it sends to the group chat. And you can start side chats with people.
Do they make
in competitions, there are silly things like one time they put all the ingredients for a cake and decorating in there, and they had so much time to make the cake and decorate it, take a picture and submit it, and then everyone voted on cakes.
That's cool. All right.
They do have kind of more savage games where it's like truth or dare, or you have to, or anonymous chats where you can ask people anonymous questions and people get real feisty with that, trying to point out catfishes and stuff. Or fake people, you know.
The more I hear about the circle, the more I think that's going to be my answer too, because I love that idea.
I know they've given them like little mini bottles of champagne when they throw them dance parties and stuff. Sometimes they'll send them a box of like funny costume wear, and they'll put on strobe lights and stuff, and everybody just has a party.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Man, that does sound fun.
It's a good show.
All right, so we're going to do some not rapid fire questions where we both answer questions so that you can get to know more about us. And the first one is, if you met a genie, what would your 3 wishes be?
Ooh. Oh, that's a toughie.
Ooh, I've already got number two. Questions, not wishes.
Shh. I don't know, probably like um I don't know. God, every time I think of something, I think there's so many things that could go wrong with it. Like right now, I've been binge watching Vampire Diaries, and I've been thinking how cool it would be to be immortal, like a vampire. Like
Yeah.
all these things can hurt you, but you can self heal, and there's definite cons, and there are definite ways that you can actually be killed. But
Yeah.
for the most part,
And I love garlic.
pretty cool. But you know, something along the lines of long life with good health. Um, a, a trust fund that never empties. I don't know, world peace. I got
More
nothing.
magnanimous than mine. I was gonna say immediate generational wealth. Like I want to have wealth for myself, but also so that it's built into the family.
Yes.
Um, let's see. Number two, a house with land that's completely paid for, so I can have my little mini farm.
And that auto maintains itself.
The ability to teleport anywhere that I want to.
Yes. Oh, that's a good one. And to be able to take anyone you can by touching them.
Yeah, or like luggage or whatever, because I used to love
Yes.
flying and I cannot now. I don't know, too much turbulence, whatever, freaks me out now.
Have you been on a flight and it freaked you out? Or do you just don't even want to try anymore?
I have, okay, so the initial flight that started the issue was when we were,
Europe.
was it Europe? I feel like it might have been, no, it had to have been Europe because of the ocean. That was the issue. We were over the ocean at night and it was too turbulent and I couldn't take it. And of course, that's like a, what, 12, 14-hour flight to begin
It
with?
is so bizarre because we were both on this flight and I am the lightest sleeper on the planet. Like, my kid says something in her sleep down the hallway and I wake up in the middle of the night.
And I used
I
to be a
slept
heavy
through all
sleeper.
of that turbulence. I don't remember a
Mhm.
thing. I didn't hear a thing about it. I don't know
I
how that
practically
happened.
had an asthma attack over it, and ever since then, any bumps set me off.
And we were sitting right next to each other.
Mom and I flew to LA. That was also like very nerve wracking for me. I've never, to be fair, I've never gone to the doctor and been like, nervous flyer, can't take it anymore, help, and gotten help for it. But it does every single time I'm on a plane now. It's nerve wracking. Maybe it's because
Yeah,
I no longer feel the invincibility of youth. I don't know. But
maybe.
But like you look at the stats and like plane flights are pretty safe for the most part. You just don't want to be on the one that
Yes.
isn't.
There was one time that I was getting ready to go on a trip to Disney, and it was, I don't think it was when I was taking Ari. I think maybe it was before then, or maybe the one when she was a baby. I don't know. There was a couple incidents right before, like the month before our flight. And I said, "Oh my God, I'm not getting on a plane." And mom was like, "Nikki, millions, billions, trillions of flights. One time that happened."
Yeah.
I said,
Well,
"Yeah,
and
but it was
now,
the brand of the flight that I was taking. Like, none, brand isn't the right name, is it? Brand, yeah,
like the
like the
company.
company I was supposed to fly
Yeah.
with." I freaked out, but I got
Well,
on the
now
plane and went, and it was fine.
you have to worry just as much about the people on the plane.
Yeah,
Like
people
that's
having
also a
mental
big concern.
breakdowns, people being running their agendas.
That'll be me one day because that's how I've been self-medicating on planes is I'm trying to get a little alcohol in
Girl,
me first.
let me tell you, one time I went to Florida and I had a 2-year-old at the time, but she stayed home with the grandparents and her dad. And I went on this trip. My boyfriend flew out and joined me. On the flight back, our flight got delayed a little bit. And so we hung out in the airport and drank at a bar. And I got drunk. We had this sugar cookie that we were bringing home for his kid, and it was big, like paper plate sized big sugar cookie. And I was trying to be so careful and not let the Mickey ears of the cookie break off.
Yeah.
And so I had it like in this plate, and it was all saran wrapped all kinds of different ways. And we got onto the flight. We went all the way to the back because we knew we were obnoxious. And we sat down, and it's 3 rows, 3 seats in the row. And he sits down and starts, pulling up whatever movie he's going to watch. And I sit down and I put the plate in the seat next to me and I put the buckle over it.
Oh my
I
gosh.
remember telling the flight attendant, this is an important cookie. It has to get home safely. And just laughing, and they were laughing at us. And I was like, oh, God.
That's amazing. I thought you were going to say that you ended up eating it. So you're a better person than me.
I did wind up saving it.
I love it.
I probably would have put the airbag on it first. Like, let's be real. Airbag, the mask. The mask.
Oh, yeah, the oxygen mask. Yeah.
But yeah, teleportation would be really cool.
Yeah, it would save me a lot as far as my daily commute, too. What was your worst kiss ever?
Oh, that's hard.
Oh, you've had a lot of bad ones?
Yeah. I guess the guy I dated in high school was super sloppy. It didn't bother me too much at the time because I didn't really have anything to compare it with.
Sure.
I was just excited some boy was kissing me. But looking back, he had braces and was very sloppy. So that was not great.
I was going to talk about my first kiss because that was...
Okay.
He had Cheeto breath or Frito breath, something. It was bad.
Ooh.
And yeah. Wide mouths, lots of tongue, unnecessary tongue. And it was just like, it wasn't even enjoyable at all. It's just like, why do people do this? And then later you kiss someone who knows how to kiss and you're like, oh.
You're like, oh, it's better than that.
Have you ever accidentally hit someone or something with your car?
Have I ever accidentally hit someone or something with my car? Yeah, there was one time, and I do mean one time. I have never been in an accident. I have never gotten a speeding ticket. I follow the law. But there was one time. It was raining, and I was driving to work at the YMCA, and I was driving my, at the time, fiance's car, and it was a much sportier car than I was used to driving. And this lady in front of me on the highway slammed on her brakes, and I slammed on mine, and I stopped. I didn't get in an accident, but I just barely tapped her car. Didn't even dent the license plate, nothing. But she got out and called the cops and had the whole thing, and I didn't have an insurance card on me because it was his car, and he wasn't the responsible type who had his insurance card in his car, which I should have checked before I got in. But needless to say, I then had to go take proof of insurance to the police station to get out of that kind of a ticket. But that is the only time I've ever hit anything that I can remember. I don't think I've ever hit anything else.
Yeah.
How about you?
The question was accidental, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, yes. I don't.
Did you on purpose hit somebody with your car?
That was a really stupid question. I mean, things. But,
you can think of some people.
I know. If you could hit someone with your car, who would it be? I think my funniest one happened recently. So there was a night where I got like practically no sleep. I had been up a little later than I would have liked to begin with, just because of some things that were going on. And then Jack had a really rough night. He was waking up a bunch. And when I got up to get the kids ready for school and then go into work myself, it was like I was falling asleep. Like, it was bad. So I get myself to work and I'm like, I'll just get a coffee and put extra shots of espresso in it and everything will be fine and I'll go take a nap later. and I'm getting ready to pull into a parking spot. And I was going super slow because I'm a grandma when I park anyway. But I nudged this very nice looking black truck enough that I saw the truck move. But we were getting all the information and trying to figure out who it was. And so it comes to find out that the guy that I hit was a trainee downstairs at the time. And I was like, I hope to God that it is someone coming to my department, and maybe they even end up on my team, so that I can just be like, you remember like your first day on the job when I hit your truck with my car? But he was a daytime person, but it was still just kind of like, oh really? So I do hit because we're not the only company in that building. So I hit one of our employees, and when they were brand new. If you won $1 million, what would you do with it?
Pay off my student loans, pay off my house, and invest.
Did you see Fight Club?
Yeah.
Okay, so
it's been a long time, but yeah.
When they blow up all the buildings because they're bringing down debt and capitalism and whatever, I was like, but could someone really do that with the student loan companies? Like hack into their mainframe and just delete everything? That would
right. All these anonymous keyboard warriors, could you hop in there and fix my student loan business?
For legal purposes, my lawyer says that was just a joke.
We do not have such capabilities. Do not worry.
Said, pay off your house, invest, and what else?
Pay off my student loans, pay off my house, invest. Try to create that generational wealth like you were talking about before. Try to make it, so that I wouldn't have to work anymore, or that what I did work was by choice and not paycheck to paycheck trying to survive.
I would, and Brandon and I have agreed on this for years because we plan on winning the lottery.
Do you play?
No, only when it gets really big. Okay, if we won $1 million or got $1 million, we have always said we would pay off our house and all of our debts and get newer cars because we always buy super used cars and it gets annoying. And then we would pay off our family's debts, like parents and siblings and whatever.
Yeah.
After that, it would be like college funds and investing if there was anything left.
Yeah.
But that would probably use a lot of it.
Yeah.
I don't think we were going to pay off the house we had either. I think we were going to find like a house we wanted to be our forever home and then just like buy it outright.
Yeah. That's the way to do it these days with houses and cars.
Yeah. I saw another one that looked good. Now I don't know. There's one that asked if you would trade your sibling for $1 million. I've always liked that question where it's like, will you punch your sibling for $1 million? I'm like, absolutely, because first I would be like, hey, Nikki, if I punch you, we can each have $500,000.
Heck yeah.
Yes, let's do it. Have you ever farted in public and blamed someone else?
I have never outright done that, but I have at times.
You're not outright doing it.
I've never farted and said, oh, it's that person. But I have sometimes waited until someone else was walking by to fart, and then I thought people could be like, was it her? Was it her? I don't know. And then I wouldn't get blamed.
I'm big on blaming it on the dog now because I will pick up the kids and the dog from our mom's house. And
that's what Ari does.
Yeah, so there has been 1 or 2 times where in the car something has happened, and they're all like, "Oh, what is that?" I'm like, "Oh, it must be Oliver. Oliver gets really gassy in the car."
Oh boy,
he does. It's probably karma. But have you ever lied about your age?
No,
I did.
I don't think so. I mean, I never tried to like sneak out or get into a bar too early or anything like too young or anything. I didn't even have my first drink until I was actually like I think 2 months away from being 21 or 3 months away or something like that. Like,
yeah, at that point you're like, I might as well actually
yeah,
celebrate it when I get 21.
I was just, in the safety of someone's apartment.
I lied about my age in the opposite way.
Oh.
So I'm short.
Mm-hmm.
We always looked younger than we really were, and we went trick or treating longer than we probably should have because we could, except for our one poor tall friend who gave us away sometimes. I went to a Cardinals baseball game, and if you were a fan that was 16 or under, you got a special Build-A-Bear with an Ozzie Smith jersey. And I believe I took Carissa and Chris to that game. At least Carissa. I don't know if her and Chris were together at that point.
So to say, if her and Chris were together, you would have been way past 16.
Oh, I was. I was old enough that they were my tickets. I don't remember if I got them through direction. But, like, we went and would go through the gates and they're handing the bears out, and I reached my hand out for a bear, and the one person looked at me like, how old are you? And I said 16, and they're like, but they handed me the bear.
They don't get paid enough to fight.
Exactly. So I stole my bear.
That's funny.
Stole it from some kid. No, I've had a lot of those, but I did get payback later when I tried to get a pink Matheny jersey, and I saw people from the opposite team walking around with them, and I had not gotten there in time to get one. Thanks for joining us, as always. Don't forget to go to our website, workingmomswhine.com. I'm working on remembering to put blog posts up there. I've got a couple. If you ever want to
go over to our TikTok, please follow us there. We're trying to get up to 1,000 so that we can do lives and stuff.
TikTok, Instagram,
yeah,
Spotify, and YouTube. Click subscribe. Tell all your friends that they have to click subscribe or you won't be their friend anymore. But yeah, we appreciate the support. We have a Patreon as well that has a few options up there. Yeah, I should play around with that some more too. But
cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Maybe next time we'll get to meet in person. Cheers.
Cheers.
See you next time. Bye.